Jim, we scheduled this appointment today so that we can sit down and give the newcomer to entitlementsdestroylives.com an introduction to the website, why you've created it, and what you hope to accomplish through its usage in the general population. What can you tell me about the site and why you've created it?
Well, entitlements, I have observed throughout my entire lifetime, tend to weaken people. They tend to cause them to achieve less. They rob them of their initiative. And when they're robbed of their initiative, they do not pursue all that is available to them in life. A small example is on the playground when we're children and you're asked to choose sides. You never choose the person that is the perfect group person. You try to choose the best performer. And in life we set out and we're formed into groups by government, and we're entitled to certain things that cause us to become less productive, less willing to reach to the next level, and we become comfortable in that group, but it's a group that handicaps us, robs our initiative, and takes the I out of the individual. Our Constitution provided that we had individual rights and individual responsibilities, and we need to strive to live up to those rights and responsibilities. It's important to be everything that you're capable of being in order to make your life and your family's life the best it can possibly be. Entitlements take those things away from us.
Then how do you define entitlements? Because I have a feeling that people watching this video, and even people who just hear the word entitlements, may view the definition of that word a little bit differently. So why don't you define entitlements for us?
Anything that would take away your initiative to achieve what that entitlement delivers to you is damaging, and I consider an entitlement as something that you have not paid for, you have not earned, but comes to you through the behest of the government or others. You can be entitled to something from a deceased relative, and that can handicap your ability just as well as a government program can. But government programs, which we participate in and help pay for, in my opinion, are the ones that are the most damaging, because no one monitors the results of these programs and ensures that they're not being destructive. The government does not provide for ways for people to escape the entanglement once they get in it, and by doing so, the people atrophy in their ability to be an individual.
And what would you say to the person watching who may be a single mother who made a mistake and his life didn't turn out quite like she pleased, and the only thing that they've heard their entire lives has been, well, we're all in this together and we rise or fall collectively, and part of the role of government in a modern society is to provide what people can't provide for themselves. And it's the function of a moral government to take from some and give to others in the form of entitlements, whether it be rent, health care, education, food stamps, walking around money, whatever it is. What do you say to the young person who may have never heard anything other than that message that they are entitled to entitlements?
Well, you said a young person, so let's take it from something that a young person would be experiencing right now. If you're in school and you're asked to study and learn, but they say, don't worry about the grade because we're going to give you a B. Now, how much learning will that person achieve? That person will be very comfortable to receive that B and have no education. And our government is essentially doing that in many ways. As a matter of fact, they're even doing it in the school system. But it becomes much more dangerous as you go through life when you're in your productive years, and through the entitlements, you are encouraged, if you will, to not support yourself, to not strive to get off of a program that you may have found yourself on because of a mistake early in life. These things are as debilitating as anything that I know of, maybe even more so than a disease, because with disease we have doctors constantly looking for cures, but nobody's looking for the cure for these entanglements that people find themselves in. There's no country on earth that through socialism has prospered, and that's what entitlements are. They're the byproduct of socialism.
And how would you react to somebody watching, maybe that same young person or some intellectual sitting in some college campus, his office someplace, and saying, "Oh, well, sure. Well, it's easy for Jim to talk about this from on high because he's a wealthy or a self-made white guy who's had all the advantages of white culture in America. He hasn't had anything pushing back against him. There's been no limits placed on him that are placed on other segments of our society. So of course it's easy for him to look back and say, oh, well, yeah, you should all pull yourselves up by your bootstraps, and it's easy for you to say it because you don't face the same struggles that young people and minorities face today."
Well, John, I did face some of those same struggles when I was young, and I'm happy that I had no entitlements, because each roadblock I had to figure out for myself. And if someone had been moving those roadblocks for me, it would have probably destroyed my life too. There was an early pregnancy in my life. I was 16 years old when my girlfriend got pregnant. I married her because that was the way it was in those times. We had to find a way to not only pay for that child being born, but to support ourselves. And that's a long story that I won't get into. I was raised on a farm that we rented, and I did a lot of farm work in order to make money and survive for neighboring farms. And all of those things I'm proud of. And as people do these things, they're life accomplishments. They're not bad things. Those are good things. They teach you the honor of working and becoming your own individual.
And what do you say to, again, a certain segment of society that looks at people who have made it, people who are successful, people who are driving nice cars and living in nice homes and going to nice jobs and taking nice vacations, and saying, what's wrong with making them take a small amount of their income and putting it into a giant pool that we all then can claim entitlements from? What's wrong with doing that? Why, if all these other countries around the world can do it, why can't we?
They can. And it's not so damaging to that person that you take that small amount of money from. The person that it's damaging to is the person that gets it with no effort on their part. It's extremely damaging to them, because each time something like that happens, people expect it to happen again, over and over, in every aspect of their lives. It's a creeping disease, this entitlement. It just eats people's initiative alive, and before long, you don't know how to work for yourself. You don't know how to find your way out of the quagmire you're in. That person that you've taken a small amount from will work doubly hard and probably make more money back in the process. But also that person that money's taken from might be the person who is capable of creating jobs. And as you take those capital resources from that individual, you inhibit their ability to create jobs, which might help that person on their way up.
And so far we've discussed one of the two aspects of the mission statement that you've defined for Entitlements Destroy Lives, and that is the human side, the self-initiative side, the self-respect side, the robbing of the individual's ability to provide for himself and his family by, as you say, atrophying his skills to provide. There's the other side that of what entitlements are doing to the nation's finances. And can you describe that?
Well, we're a sinking ship, and when we're taking in less money than we're paying out every day, and we're borrowing money, I believe I heard today, at the rate of $58,000 a minute or something like that, we're creating a problem for this nation that will be a long time getting out of if everyone puts their shoulder to the wheel and works. But if people continue to stay on entitlements, if the government insists on using that as a political ploy to try to garner favor with the electorate, then this nation is in real trouble. We need to be a nation of individuals who work hard for themselves and their families, who expect to be paid for their performance and expect to perform at a high level. That's why we were one of the greatest nations on earth. Today you hear people saying that we're behind China. I find that ridiculous in a lot of ways, because there is still a lot of poverty in China and a lot of individuals that are not enjoying their capitalist expansion. But we need to make sure that we continue to provide opportunities for individuals.